modes of transportation we have. Modes of transportation. Here, like any other village or any other town in the nearby or in our country or any country like that, even here also, the modes of transport in Rampur are different types like bullock carts, horse carts, tongas, then along with that even motorbikes, two-wheelers, autos, bus, trucks, and even other part of transportation also is very well connected with Rampur village. Along with that, even it is having a good network of transportation as well as the road system also. The road is very well connected to the Raniganj, and from Raniganj to Jahangirpura, they have a all-weather condition road, that means that road can be utilized in any of the cities. That means very well established, developed metallic road has been laid in this particular town. What about the population of this particular village? So the total population of this village is near about 2660. Population is 2660 people. Total it is 450 families. 450 families. Out of 1/3 of this population is SCs. Okay, in turn they are also called as Dalits. So 1/3 of the population, that is approximately 150 families. 150 families are Dalits, and here other parts like some of them are rich people or who belongs to the higher caste, and some of the families are of middle class families. So like this, all the three categories of families are also very well established and they have been settled in Rampur village. So here they have categorized among themselves economically also. Likewise, Dalits, whom we said as a 1/3 of the population are 150 families, they are completely landless. They are entirely landless. And few of the families are rich and they are having more than 10 acres or more than that also. And here we have near about some families which we call in turn near about 240 families who are having more than 2 acres of land, and another 60 families who are having near about some 10 acres of land or more than 10 acres of land. And the rich and wealthy people are having very pakka houses which are constructed with the bricks as well as cement and plastering, whereas the poor people, whom we call as 1/3 of the population, near about 150 families, they are staying in kacha houses or which are thatched roofs, and these 150 houses are just away from the main village, outside of the main village area. And middle class families are having, some of them are having very well maintained houses, some of them are having not that maintained houses, but okay, they are having a properly maintained houses. Like this, total 450 families in Rampur village have been very well established. So till now what we have been learned? We have been learned about the Rampur village, where it has been established, that is in the state of Uttar Pradesh towards the western part, and the entire western part along with the states of Punjab and Haryana, it forms a fertile belt where we have very rich development in the agricultural sector. The next what we have is, here in this entire village we can find different categories of people. Accordingly, the different categories of people, likewise the rich people, poor people, and landless people, the middle class families. So here the total population is 2660 people and 450 families. Out of 1/3 of the population are Dalits, whom we call as SCs, and remaining are middle class as well as the rich families. Different part of the categories of families are also stays in Rampur. Along with that, even these Rampur village are also having, the land in Rampur is fixed by the year of 1927. The land in Rampur is fixed. From then onwards, there is no changes in the availability of the land for the agricultural sector, because by that time, whatever the nearby forest area or some of the wastelands are also made into cultivating lands by the people of the Rampur. So the land is fixed for so many years, and even now the land cannot be increased because all the available land has been utilized by the people for their cultivation. So what type of cultivation people used to do in Rampur? So that we'll be learning. That is land and other natural resources. Already we have been learned about different types of land and other factors. Now we will be learning about land and other natural resources. Land and other natural resources. So what are these? Along with the land, we need some other natural resources like water, light, air, and even some other factors also. So all these are called as a natural resources. So here we have 3 seasons in our agricultural season, generally what we call as. The one is rainy, winter, and summer. So the rainy crop is generally called as, the crops which are sown in rainy season or the rainy agricultural season is generally called as Kharif crop season. Then winter is called as Rabi and summer is called as Zai. So generally during the Kharif season, that is during the rainy season, no land is left uncultivated in Rampur village. Every percent, all the land, entire land is utilized for the cultivation. The land which is having irrigation facilities also, even the land which doesn't have irrigation facilities are also cultivated during the Kharif season because of the availability of the water, because of the rainfall. Particularly what they will be growing, the land which is not having any irrigation facilities, that type of land, what type of crops are cultivated in that particular land? The crops like jawar and bajra. Jawar and bajra are the crops which are cultivated in unirrigated areas or unirrigated or the land which are not having any irrigation facilities in a Rampur village, and this is used as a cattle feed. And these are used as a cattle feed. And during these, apart from these, along with these, also some of the farmers who used to cultivate 3 crops in an year. So all of us have been learned earlier in our previous classes that the cultivation of more than 1 or more crops in a same piece of land at a time is called as multi-cropping system. What do we call it as? Multi-cropping system. Multi-cropping system is a system in which we cultivate more than 1 crop in a same particular piece of land. So coming back to Rampur village. So along with jawar and maize and bajra, what are the other crops cultivated in Rampur? Along with that, even they used to cultivate potato also. Potato as the second crop. And what they used to cultivate in Rabi? Mostly they used to cultivate wheat in Rabi season. Okay, Kharif season, jawar and bajra, whereas in winter season, Rabi, that is wheat crop they used to grow. In between these 2 seasons, in between these 2 crops, they used to cultivate even potatoes also as the second crop. And this Zaid in summer season, the farmers who are having some water facilities and irrigation facilities, they used to cultivate and they used to take 3 crops in a year. And here along with this bajra, jawar and potatoes, where there is a major crop which is cultivated mostly in Rampur village by majority of the farmers who are having irrigation facilities. That crop is nothing other than the sugarcane. Sugarcane, which is a major crop of the Rampur village to the farmers who are having very good irrigation facilities. And this sugarcane used to be harvested only once in a year. All of us know that sugarcane takes near about 1 year from the time of sowing to the time of harvest. So this is called as a major crop, or this is grown as a major crop in a agricultural field of the Rampur village by the farmers who are having irrigation facilities. So these are all about the agricultural and its agricultural crops and the agricultural seasons which are cultivated, which are followed in a Rampur village. So as we have been said that the irrigation facilities, how these irrigation facilities have been provided to this particular region, Rampur village. Like many other villages in India, even Rampur village is also very well connected with the electrification. They use the advanced technology or advanced methods for making use of the resources like water by the canals, rivers and other sources also, or tube wells, and particularly making use of the underground water. In the year of 1960s, the government has been helped some of the farmers for electrification and to have a tube wells. By seeing that majority of the farmers in Rampur village has installed their own tube wells or constructed their own tube wells and started extracting the water and making use of this water for the purpose of the agriculture, for cultivation through the irrigation methods. So there are the different types of crops and different types of ways where the Rampur village has been. It is electrified also. So because of with the help of the electricity, even they have been started drawing the water from the deeper parts of the underground or the earth surface. So before the electrification, how they used to have these, how they used to take the water for the irrigation. So during that particular time period, they used to use the wheels, the ancient methods for the construction or for the irrigation purpose, for the cultivation of the crops. And they used to use the Persian wheels, which I think you people might have an idea about the Persian wheels, which used to be a round wheel to which we used to have these steps like generally what we call the steps like wooden planks used to be placed, and they used to be pulled down and the water used to come up. This we call as a Persian wheel, where water used to be. This type of wheel you can find even in many of the movies also, and some songs and other places also we can find these Persian wheels. Whereas where they used, the best example you can see in a movie called Chennai Express. They were in Udumba village nearby that. They used to use these Persian wheels. These Persian wheels, by making use of the Persian wheels, they used to take water and supply water for the irrigation purpose in a Rampur village before electrification has been started. As we said, even it is very well connected with the transportation and other factors, it is very well developed. But when we compare, if we see out of the total agricultural land in Rampur, only 60% of the land are having water facilities or irrigation facilities. Then what about the entire country? If you check the entire country, we have some of the parts like coastal areas as well as riverine plains and riverine areas. Only that areas are very well irrigated, or they are having irrigation facilities because of the water supply. Apart from that, like if we compare in contrast with the plateau regions, it is very less. In plateau regions, the irrigation facilities are very less, and development of agriculture is also less when compared to riverine islands or riverine plains as well as coastal areas of our country. On average, overall, if we check in India, we have only 40% of the land, or the 40% of the agricultural land is utilized through the proper irrigation facilities. Apart from that, another 60% is not having a proper irrigation facilities in our country. As I said, the underground water has been utilized by tube wells with the help of the electricity. With the help of the electricity, they are using more and more water. The usage of this underground water is not judiciously. They are making use of it in a non-judicious way. Non-judicious means not proper way, no proper plan. They are extracting more and more water without any thinking. Non-judicious use of water, underground water. Non-planned, no proper planning. So because of this, what is happening? The water level in the underground is decreasing. Even though we have many other sources for the recharging, like rainwater harvesting or the water which we are using, that also we are sending into the underground. Even these also are not sufficient. Even though the underground water is recharged, that recharge amount of water is not sufficient to meet the needs and requirements of the people or the day-by-day usage of the water in our day-to-day life activities. This is one, over usage of water, and over usage of chemicals and fertilizers. Over usage of chemicals is making the land to be lose its fertility. So loss of fertility is because of the over usage of the chemicals and fertilizers in a crop, for the crops, for getting more and more yielding, to have a better yielding of the crops, like we know HYV seeds and green revolution, all these things. Because of all these things, the land is losing its fertility. It is becoming more day by day. It is creating a land degradation. There's also another problem which can be found throughout the country, not only in Rampur village but throughout the country. We can find this in the problem which we are facing across the world. So that's the reason we are saying for the proper resource planning, that we'll be learning in our upcoming topics about the resource planning and the judicious usage of the resource and other things. Next, what we have is land distribution in Rampur. So here already I have been said that we have been discussed that in Rampur total we have 450 families. Out of this, one third, that is 150 families, landless. They are SCs, or we call them as Dalits. Generally they are called. But actually this discrimination should not be there, but it is said and they are called as that with a different names in different regions also. And here we measure the land with hectares. Here we have been said the land is limited. It is measured in hectares. So 1 hectare is equal to 10,000 square meters. And then these also used in the local languages, like land is also measured in local languages like guntas as well as acres and cents. There are also different names which are being used for the measuring of the lands in different regions, in different areas, in different ways. Okay, next. So out of these 450 families, one third, that is 150 families, are landless, who are called as SCs or Dalits. Next what we have is 60 families are medium and small farmers. So these are with only 2 and more than 2 acres of land. 2 and more acres of the land. Out of this, again here we have near about 240 families who are having less than 2 and 2 acres of land. Less than 2 acres of land. So here they have been given a case study about Mr. Gobind in the year of 1960. Gobind is a farmer in Rampur village who has 2.25 acres of land. Who has 2.25 acres of land, and this person used to cultivate this land along with his own family members. He had 3 sons. So Gobind had 3 sons. So this 2.25 acres of land is cultivated along with his sons by the Gobind, whatever may be. In this, only some part of the land is irrigated facilities are having, and the other part doesn't have any irrigation facilities. So apart from this, income what they used to get is not sufficient for the family to meet their daily or regular expenditure or to lead a life. For that sake, even they used to find some other alternate for the substitute of the income for the family, so that they had a buffalo also, which they used to have another substitute of income by selling the milk of the buffalo. So by the time when Govind has been died, when he has been expired, these 2.25 acres of land has divided among the 3 sons, that each one has got 0.75 acres of land, hectares of land. So to one son or to one person, the land has been given only 0.75 hectares. When that is 2.25 hectares only, it is very difficult for them to survive or to have to lead their lifestyle or to lead their living. Then they used to have a substitute of other sources of income. But now they have been got only 0.75 acres of land. It is very difficult for them, even by making use of that particular land, by implementing different types of modern methods as well as even different ways of modern farming and irrigation facilities and providing all the things also, that is not possible for them to lead a proper living. So like that, the land in our country. So Govind family only divided these 2.25 acres of land into 3 parts. Then think about the other parts of the village or other families of the village particularly, or else the entire country, how the land has been divided into smaller parts because of the inheritance or the different types of family laws which have been existing in our country.